Hi, it's Josie, and today I'm going to show you how I lunge my horses. Now, there are a few reasons I lunge my horses. One of them is if I take a young horse somewhere new and it has it's looking everywhere but where it should be, I will use the lunge work to get the horse to focus back on me. Another reason I do it, particularly with young horses, is so they can find their balance on a circle without my added weight to them. I also will use it to visually assess a horse, how they're moving, what they're doing. Helps me a lot from the ground to see what's going on. And the main one I hear people say that they lunge their horse for is to actually get rid of excess energy. And that is all well and good, but please do not let your horse run around madly on the end of the lunge. You should be training your horse while you're with it, which means if, like say, Rebel took off and started to do some silly antics, I would actually try and do a transition, bring the circle in smaller. I would do something to try and stop him. He can get rid of his excess energy, but he's not allowed to run around madly. So that's today's video, is just showing you how I go about doing it. And if you stay till the end, I will have two little tips for you just to do with your tack and an easy way to look after your tack while you're lunging. All right, the other piece of equipment that I use, and I actually have had this for about 12 years, I think, and I wouldn't use anything else to lunge my horse, is a serrator. So it has a firm, solid piece of metal there, which is not supposed to sit tight, clamped on the horse's nose, but it does sit on there, and a ring. You can get 3-ringed. I've got a 1-ring one. Now, another little tip I've got here for you is this cost me a lot of money at the time. I thought it was $180, I think, around about, and that was about 15 years ago. So this serrator has cost me about $12 a year. So buy something of quality and it certainly lasts. But I use this because I don't like attaching my lunge bit to lunge clip to the bit. I don't like to pull my horse's mouth around if I don't have to. I do long rein from the bit, so I do work from the bit, but particularly a young and unbalanced horse, I don't want to pull his mouth around. I want him to be happy with the bit and have a nice quiet mouth. So I'll just pop the serrator on and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I've put my serrator on. My nose piece is not clamping over his nose. I can pop fingers underneath there. There's a bit of room under there. It has straps up here which actually hold this bit away from coming, it's got dirt on it, away from coming and hitting him in the eye. So that's an important part of it as well. The other thing you need is obviously a lunge rein, and you need a lunge whip. I don't use side reins on particularly my young horses, because horses use their head and neck to balance, and I feel that it's a little bit like if I strapped your hands to your side and told you to walk along a thin wall. You actually use your arms for balance. Particularly a young horse uses their head and neck to balance themselves. I will use side reins for a specific issue, and that's usually if I have trouble with a horse overbending and falling out through a shoulder, but they're always put on very loosely. Let's get on with it. Let's turn this way, Rebel. I'm going to very quickly run you through a very basic bit of horsemanship here. Horses have a drive line, sits about where the girth sits. It's about here. In front of that, you will stop your horse. Behind it is a driving position for your horse, and on it will often just keep the horse going at the same tempo. And I'll show you that in a minute when I'm lunging him. That's enough chat. Let's get on. Now, I was always taught to keep my lunge rein so it's not, it's a nice straight line to my hand, which is what you do with your reins as well. How I hold the lunge rein, if Wayne can just zoom in on my left hand here, is exactly the way I hold a rein on a horse. The proper textbook way is to hold it like that. I have no feel like that. I have much more feel the way I hold a rein. So I hold it between my little finger and my ring finger, and I can give Rebel information through that. Your lunge rein should not be dragging on the ground, because if it is, your horse you haven't got any communication with your horse. even though it's got a loop in it like that, I can feel him. I can pull on that, see, and he will turn his head this way and turn. If I want him to turn out, I move my whip towards his shoulder, and there he went out. Oops, and I've tied my whip in a little knot here. I'm sitting right on his drive line here, so I'm literally sitting on where the girth is. If I would think about where my belly button was pointing energy, it's sort of at that, if I'm facing dead on, it's at his girth. If I want him to go forward, can you see I swivel my hips? You should always send your energy in the direction you want your horse to go. So once your horse has done some walking, and he's warming up, you can send him up into the trot, and you should do that by lifting your energy, which I did then by picking my belly button up and asking him. I didn't even have to use the words and use the whip, which is really just a tool. Now I want you to note that I do something that I'm sure a lot of people don't. I walk on a circle with my horse. Why do I do that? Well, I need to use my whip at times to actually perhaps make him pick his take his inside hind leg up a little bit quicker. I might want him to do something. I might want the shoulder to go out. I need to be able to reach him with the whip, and it's not to belt him, guys, in any stretch. It is actually to use it as a tool. And if I'm standing at the end of this lunge rein, this doesn't reach him. So I am quite happy to walk on a circle with him. And so let's do a TROT transition. I'm going to pick my belly button up, send my energy out, and ask Rebel to trot. Good boy. So you can see here that he goes to stretch regularly. He probably could do with a little more energy. So I am going to walk a little bit more purposefully with my feet as well. Good. The other reason I like to be on a smaller circle is I can do some work with him. Now I'm talking to him with my right hand on the lunge rein, asking him to do a smaller circle. He's not really warmed up properly for this, but good boy. And let's go. Good. Can get him to lengthen stride. If I take a longer stride, I can take a shorter stride. I can. Good boy. And after this circle, we'll do a longer stride. Just watch what happens. Now I'm going to send my energy out, lengthen my step. Good boy. All I did there was breathed out, dropped my energy, dropped my core down. Rebel walked and walk. Now I use the word "and" before everything I do. It's basically working as a half halt, teaching the horse that something's coming. One of my very pet hates is people who don't train their horses to walk on the lunge. Every horse should be able to walk on the lunge. It's actually not that difficult to teach them. Sometimes you might need to have the patience of a saint to teach it, but there's never been a horse yet that I can't teach to walk like this on the lunge. Ready? And trot, trot. Good boy. Now we might just do a canter, and I always use an open for Rebel, an open side here, and canter. Yep, good boy. Canter, yeah. Okay, he just got told to canter. I asked him, I gave him a second chance, I told him. And trot, and trot. Good boy. So I'm going to repeat that transition because that wasn't a good transition. And canter. Yes, yes. And trot. Ready? And canter. Good boy. And trot. And trot. Good boy. And canter. Good. And trot. So I just did quicker transitions there. Repetition is the mildest form of punishment for a horse, trust me. And walk. And rest is a reward. And whoop, My horses all stop from an upward hand. It's just the way I teach them. And do I care if they spin and face me? No, I don't, because I don't have side reins on. Sometimes with side reins on, that's difficult. Anyway, tip number 1. What do you do with your reins? This was taught to me by one of my coaches, and it was the best thing since sliced bread, I thought. So your reins go over your horse's neck, sit up somewhere close like that. So the first thing you do, undo your throat lash. Then you grab your outside rein and you bring it over the top. Rebel, can you please keep looking forward so they can see? Over the top, you grab this one that is now the outside, bring it forward. That one outside, bring it forward. That's the outside. So you're basically rolling one around the other. When it's nice and firm, you have a little hole there. You take the throat lash and put it in the hole, not under both because they will unravel. Comes through the hole and you just do your throat lash up. That way, while you're lunging, your reins will stay nice and safe. What about your stirrups? Okay, so how we do the stirrup leathers is I roll my stirrup, push my stirrup right up, I take my leather, I wrap it around the front and it goes through that hole. See that hole there? Goes through there and I pull it. Then I thread it around again and it goes back through that hole that is there. And then I've got the loop that's in here. And I grab this bit of the strap and I fold it down through that, and then my stirrup is nice and secure and doesn't flap against my saddle. Anyway, that is just a very quick look at how I actually lunge my horses. Rebel wasn't doing much work there because I was just trying to keep it pretty slow and steady so you could see what was going on. Hope that helped. Thanks for watching.